So I have been on this quest to lower my E400 wagon, and this has been kind of a mixed experience, right? So a couple months ago, I decided to finally pull the trigger on some springs and some Bilstein B8 struts. Now, very good parts, very good ride quality as expected, and about a 1.2 to 1.5 inch drop is what I was expecting in the front. And I'll talk about why only in the front. And I did the install, as you can see right here, and I spent a lot of money paying the labor and everything, and the shop did a great job installing it. And lo and behold, it's been 2, 3 months, probably over 2,000 miles, and there's no drop. The car basically looks like it came out of the factory with that suspension. The height barely got dropped. Now I have the sport suspension, which is already a little bit lower, but this did not lower the car at all. Let me talk about really quickly why I'm only focusing on the front. My rear has air suspension on my E400 wagon. It is 4MATIC, so it's all-wheel drive with rear air suspension, front coil suspension. So my focus right now is only on the front because the rear I can adjust up and down with the end link that I have, adjustable end link, or I can even get it programmed to be lower if I wanted to. So I'm not worried about the rear. So that being said, after I went through that whole experience with the B8s and the lack of drop with the springs, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I can try to figure out what the issue is. I'm sure I could. I'm not going to because I have to pay somebody to take it off, take it on. I'm at a point where I just want something that shows up, I can install it, and we're good to go, and I can adjust the height. So I went on this kind of rabbit hole of coilovers, and I looked at all the normal culprits, right? So I looked at BC, KW, Reaction, and I also looked at CEIKA. So I'm going to talk about CEIKA for a sec because that's what I ended up with. So I don't know if it's CEIKA, whatever it is. I was actually familiar with this brand because when I first got the EV6, I was looking for coilovers, and they were actually one of the first companies to actually list the fact that they sell coilovers for the EV6. Obviously, I haven't gotten them yet. So anyway, the big difference with my car is you have to search for the term S213. S213 reflects the wagon chassis of the W213 generation. So it's a little confusing. I might be wrong a little bit on that, but my car is a W213, but it's the S213 submodel, which is the wagon version. Now, mine is 4MATIC, all-wheel drive. There's a two-wheel drive version overseas, which seems to have a lot more support. So when I search for the two-wheel drive version, there's multiple suspensions options out there. When I reached out to some of these companies, they were I was getting a little bit of an iffy answer, like, we haven't tried it. So KW, I wasn't fully confident, although their parts are awesome. I wasn't fully confident that theirs would work because it didn't really seem to list the S213. Then I checked with BC. BC was very responsive. They have really good customer care. And they said that they believe this is the right suspension. I can order it, and if it doesn't work, then we can kind of talk back and forth. And then I also reached out to CEIKA because I saw that they actually had the S213 listed, as you can see right here, on the suspension for this car. So I've had to kind of figure this out as I'm going, and I'm not getting a lot of feedback online from different owners who've done too much to these cars. After reaching out to BC, I reached out to CEIKA, and I told them exactly what I was looking for. The really cool part about CEIKA's website is that you can actually customize all the specs of the suspension, spring rate, kind of what dampening you're looking for, and all those kind of things. And they're really, really responsive, and they talk to you about like what your needs might be, street race, whatever, those kind of things. I moved forward with CEIKA because they were very confident that they've seen these installed on S213 4MATIC wagons. So I only ordered the front two, and it cost me right around $700 or $800. If this works, this is actually a really good deal, and I wasted a lot of money on the rest of the suspension, if it works well, I should say. So let's take a look at the CEIKA suspension real quick. So first of all, in the box, you get this nice little packet of stickers, and then you get the wrenches, the adjusting wrenches, and you get the dampening adjustment as well. This does have adjustable dampening, and here it is in all its glory. Be careful with this. I love the black and blue. It's the theme that I'm going for in my Mercedes. They actually gave me color options. It's not exactly the blue that I have on my wagon, but it's blue. You're not going to be able to see this, but I just think it looks cool. The combination looks cool. The finishes, the materials, everything feels really nice. Is this a $3,000 coilover? No. Is this going to be hopefully a good street coilover? I hope so. So here's a quick comparison of the factory and the CEIKA. So let's go ahead and go to the shop. We're going to get these installed over at M-Tech in North Dallas. And let's hope this all works. Let's go. Wagon and wagon. A wagon. And I guess that counts as a wagon, right? So here we are at M-Tech, dropping my car off to get lowered. And this is what I get.
this nice little present. What a great thing to deal with right before a road trip while getting lowered with brand new tires. Awesome.
So how do these CEIKA coilovers actually handle? So these have 32 points of dampening adjustment, and when I left the shop, it was on the softest setting, and it was a little bubbly. It still felt better than the OEM suspension, but it was a little bubbly. So I went home, I shifted it to about 7 clicks from the softest towards stiff out of 32, and it feels really good. It's basically, I think, the perfect setup for a daily driver, where it's slightly more aggressive, it's comfortable, but it still gives me that really nice drop that I've been looking for. I ended up dropping the car about 1.2, 1.3 inches. It looks really good. It handles really well. So if you're concerned about ride quality being compromised by switching to coilovers, that's not gonna happen. These ride really, really good. My wife didn't even notice that I did anything to them, so I think that's a big win. Yesterday for fun, I switched over to the stiffest setting, and it was definitely stiff. And I could see some people would want to go towards the more of the stiffer setting, especially if you're going to take it to a track or some performance driving or anything like that, which I would make them a little bit stiffer if I was going to be taking it to something like that. But for daily driving, about 7-8 clicks from the softest, and it rides really awesome while eliminating all the things I don't like about the OEM suspension, which was the bubbliness and the floatiness, and while still being very comfortable. So highly recommended. All in all, I think this was a very, very good purchase. I wish I had just done this in the first place. The B8, the Bilstein B8 and the H&R setup, I think that setup is really good. It's cost effective, generally speaking, really good quality parts if you're not looking for a big drop. If you're looking to just upgrade the suspension and maybe just get a fraction of a drop, but you really just want to keep the OEM hype, but you want better handling, I highly recommend the B8 Bilsteins and the H&R setup. But if you're looking for a drop, this is definitely the route I would go if you own this particular car. Number 2, the preload. The preload came preset on the whole component itself. Didn't really mess with it. There's no weird feelings. There's absolutely no sounds, no clunks, nothing. So I did opt for the rubber bushings on the top. I didn't get the pillow ball top mount with the camber plates. I don't think I really need it. The camber was able to be dialed in. So if that's a question for you, you know, unless you're going to completely slam this thing, I don't think you need those pillow ball top mounts. As for the rears, I'm going to keep the links that came with the H&R kit. I can't lower my car in the rear right now because my rotiforms are actually a little too aggressive on the offset. So if I lower the rear too much, they actually start rubbing. So I'm actually in the process of shaving down my wheels to raise the offset. So now I can actually use those links and drop my rear. So stay tuned for that video. It's actually coming right after this one. So all in all, really, really good purchase. Took about 2 weeks to get, about $700 for the front two. And I think I should have just done this in the first place because I'm super happy now, and this car is finally getting to a point where I like driving it. So the one thing I do want to end with is that all of a sudden this car is not like a track monster. This is just an OEM plus kind of feel where it reduces the bubbliness and the overly done comfort of this car. Now I understand the target market wants that, but for somebody like me who just wants a cool wagon that handles a little bit better, this is the perfect setup. But I'm not going to be taking corners like Miatas or anything like that anytime soon. So if that's what you're looking for, this is probably not the right car for you in the first place, but it is definitely a vast improvement. And it does inspire me to drive a little bit harder than I used to, and that's really what I was looking for. So really happy with the purchase. Stay tuned for more updates on this car. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. But excited to kind of take this now that I've kind of made some progress and go further. So thanks everybody. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.